Hello. So, I've been busy brainstorming video ideas and really couldn't come up with anything here lately. So I figured I'd just run around and play some Stalker because I finally got it somewhat stable enough to, I don't know, record at least a couple minutes of gameplay before it inevitably shits itself. And, just a disclaimer, I've beaten it. I think I've actually done all of the endings. I've got over 120 hours in it right now, so I am playing with mods now just to kind of like screw around in the game a little bit. So this isn't like a full-length playthrough or anything. I probably won't do one unless it gets requested, but I don't know. I figured I'd just wander around in Stalker 2 and I don't know, kill some things and ramble. I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's been about a week, I think, since my last video where the channel update there. And, still sitting here trying to work on different projects and actually finish something. And then figure out what kind of direction I want to go from there. But I don't know. Here lately I've been thinking like content like this where I kind of just meander around a video game and yap for a little bit. It's probably not the most exhilarating thing, but I don't know. When I can't think of anything else, it's kind of all I do anyways. Most of my time spent is just spent wandering around games, gunning down whatever I see. And, I don't know. It's whatever. I really don't even have a goal for this. I guess we can do some missions or something. I don't know. Do some stash hunting. I will say, I'm a big Stalker fan. I think probably my favorite thing when it comes to Stalker, though, is how empty it can be sometimes. Like, I know Stalker 2 has got some issues with A-Life, so it's a little more empty than it's supposed to be. But even in, like, Shadow of Chernobyl or Clear Sky and Color Pripyat, like, they were just very empty. You could wander around for a few minutes and not even a mutant or anything, just like you sit there and watch distant weather formations, and it was eerily quiet, and you probably get this vibe like you're being watched because there probably is an NPC or a mutant or something in the distance watching you, but there was just something about the emptiness there and the quiet, the eerie, sort of ominous quiet that you get from it that made it really immersive because I think you were like left with your own thoughts a little bit. The game wasn't constantly giving you dialogue or action sequences to push you along or to make you feel a certain way. You were immersed because you were kind of like left to your own devices. And now I've got to scale down this fucking hill. And it's just, I think that's probably the biggest reason I like Stalker, because it uses your own mind against you, and you have to sit there and think things through, or consider your next course of actions, or like, do I want to get into a gunfight? Can I afford to get into a gunfight? Or to, hunt for a stash and get stuck in an anomaly. Like, there were actual considerations. It's part of the reason I like Stalker Anomaly as well, because it's it's more sandboxy. And while I think I prefer the baseline games over Anomaly, there's still a lot of fun to be had in exploration. And even the storyline that they've got pieced together from that. But even in 2, even though it's a little more empty than it should be, I mean, like, you gotta admit, like, between the scenic view and the quiet that we've experienced so far in game, like, it's hard not to get stuck in your head a little bit. Hell, you could probably... Really? The stash was just a bottle of... I scaled that hill for a bottle of vodka. It's just... You know, you can't help but sit there and think... You know, like... What am I doing? And then you start to think, okay, well, what's my character doing? You know, what is my motivation for this? Am I really out here just exploring, or am I invested in the story, or am I frightened, or, you know, like, what are you thinking? And that drives you forward with the gameplay experience. And it's not something you see a lot in a ton of games, where, you know, you're not, I don't know, like Call of Duty or something. But it's like, yeah, I mean, some of them have decent stories, but it's designed to push you right through it, you know, beginning to end. You know, you don't really stop and take a break. You don't take account of anything. You know, like if you finish a battle in Call of Duty, you get a cutscene or something, and then that's it. You move to the next mission. You know, you don't have to sit there and go, oh shit. Speaking of gunfights, A-Life is doing its thing. I guess I should intervene. I don't really want to, but... I don't really like the ward either, to be honest. Fuck, I can't aim. Ignore that. But yeah, like... I don't know. Like that. That's a great example. You know, I've been wandering around for the last few minutes, and then boom, walk right into a gunfight. And, you know, I can help decide the outcome. But at the same time, it's like, I could just do like that and murder everybody. I don't even bother to loot them. I don't really care. I'm not in a looting mood, but I think it just serves to prove my point that, you know, even though Stalker 2 is in the state that it's in, it's still got a lot of potential. And there's still a lot of replay value with it. And again, I don't really think this is a review unless it turns into that by the end of it, but, you know, I just think it's a cool game. I think all the Stalkers are cool. I love the ambient soundtrack in the background, the NPCs that do their own thing when it works. You know, the guns are, you know, like, the gunplay in this isn't anything, like, amazing, but it's very serviceable, and it's still extremely satisfying, especially when you put, you know, money and upgrades into a gun, and you get it the way you want it, and it feels the way you want it, and it's very satisfying at that point. And I guess the reward is that you don't die, because, you know, if I walk into somewhere, you know, with this beauty, I'm okay, but if I walk into somewhere, you know, somewhere with just like a, you know, a knife and nothing else, and then boom, a bunch of bloodsuckers, I'm probably not coming out of there. And I think that's part of what makes Stalker great too, is like whenever you're out here buying equipment or putting research into upgrades or like trying to figure out what supplies you want to buy, there is this kind of like, I don't know, I guess it's a feeling where you feel like you really need to put at least a little bit of research into it, so that way you don't come into a situation where you're missing out or getting murdered because you didn't have the right equipment. And I don't know, it's just ignore the weird shop UI. Like I said, I'm playing around with mods right now, but I don't know, it's just, I think that adds to the immersion a little bit, having that option to go and say, yeah, I should buy this gun, or I should buy this set of supplies, or, you know what, no, I don't think I need them. And then, you know, an hour later, you're in a situation where you're kicking yourself because you're like, shit, I probably should have bought some extra ammo, or I should have bought some med kits, or I probably should have stopped and eaten before I left, because now you're being ripped apart and you don't have any stamina left to run away. And I think that's just fantastic, because you've got that survival element, but it isn't overbearing either. As long as you put a little bit of thought into it, you'll be okay. But you do have to put thought into it at some point. And so it's not like a lot of survival games where I'm constantly worried, oh shit, am I going to run out of food and water? Oh shit, I haven't slept, I'm going to drop dead any second, or anything like that. But it does help to do those things. And it's important you do it so that way it doesn't hold you back as a player. And I think that's, Stalker's great with that, because it manages to be difficult. It is extremely difficult to learn. But when you do learn it, it changes the way you play. And I think that's something I noticed watching other people play Stalker that maybe haven't played any of the original games and going into the second one. And, they encounter a bloodsucker and they have no idea what to do. Or they encounter some anomalies and they walk right into them. Or, they don't understand how their detector works. And I think it's cool to watch people coming into it learn. I know sometimes people gatekeep, but I just find it really fun to watch people learn or get into the story, because God, the lore in Stalker is really, really cool, but it's extremely complicated at certain points, and it's not always clear what's going on. And so watching people play Stalker 2 and just be confused as shit about what's happening, and then I'm sitting there and I'm like, I understand to an extent what's happening, but I'm also a little confused as shit. And I think that's great, because Stalker has always got that air of mystery about it, where it's like you can know the lore in and out and still not be completely sure about certain things. And it's, I don't know, something about it almost encourages you to play more, because you really want to get to the bottom of everything and solve the mysteries of the zone for yourself. And it's that extra bit of motivation, if gear isn't your thing, if earning money isn't your thing, or finding a really nice new gun, then maybe your motivation is, problem solving. What can I do to make myself better, or what can I do to get to that artifact or that stash, or what can I do to figure out this question I had about mutants, or how the zone is actually operating. Is the zone alive? Is it aware? Like, all these little things that you can learn through the lore and through gameplay. And those are extremely relevant as a way to push you forward into the story. And I think that's great, because there aren't a ton of games that do that anymore. When you're, I don't know, like Space Marine, for example. I love Space Marine 2. I've got about 100 or so hours in it. I play it, a couple hours a week at least. And I love it. I think it's a very rewarding game. It's a lot of fun. But, when I'm playing through a mission, my only real reasoning for it, the only thing I'm incentivized to do is complete a mission so I can earn a new piece of gear. Like, some new armor. Or, buy some heraldry items. Or maybe unlock a skin for my gun. And that's cool. Don't get me wrong, I love Space Marine, and I like how simplistic that system is. But, as vast as the Warhammer lore is, it doesn't feel like a motivator for me while I'm playing. Because there's just an ungodly amount of Warhammer lore. And so when I complete a mission in Space Marine 2, especially if it's higher difficulty, I'm not sitting here going, yeah, I can't wait to I don't know, see what happens next in a universe with nothing but war, because you know what's going to happen next. There's going to be some war. That's kind of the whole thing with Warhammer. Somebody's going to die, something's going to blow up, there'll probably be some Space Marines, and that's, you get the gist. And that's not to say it's not interesting. I love Warhammer lore, but I'm not as motivated by it as I would be with something like Stalker, or like another game, maybe like Half-Life, where, yeah, the gameplay is great, visually it still looks good, it still holds up very well, the game itself is just really well designed, but my main motivator when I play a game like Half-Life is the story. And like Stalker, it immerses me really, really easily. And I don't know. I think there's just you don't see that a ton with a lot of games, especially AAA games. I know there's some indie titles out there that continue to kind of push the boundaries of gaming a little bit and sort of bring that vibe back. And I really need to get more into indie games. So the only other game that I think can really push me with lore is maybe something like Helldivers, which I know is odd because through base gameplay there's really not a lot of lore you're exposed to unless you sit there and you read stuff in matches. You know, maybe you pick up like a piece of information lying around, or you watch a broadcast, or you listen to a broadcast, or you read your major order announcements. But that little bit of lore is interesting, and sometimes it's very, very entertaining. And so when I do run across it, I feel motivated to sit there and look at it and study it, because it helps immerse me. And like, for instance, the storm right now. Like, this wasn't here a couple minutes ago. And in the classic games, when you get these storms, you get emissions like in Call of Pripyat. Even if it's not an emission, it's just a regular storm, there's kind of the second where I have to stop and go, okay, you know, should I go find cover? Because this will kick my ass. You know, I won't survive this. And, you know, there's that momentary change in gameplay. There's not a lot of games where, you know, you can play for a couple hours consistently and nothing's happening, and then boom, you know, storm, gotta go find cover. It interrupts your gameplay, and it requires you to think. And I love when games do that. That, it just looks cool. Like, watching the storm roll in, wind pick up, and if it's an emission, you know, the sky will go red, and you can hear it and shake. Like, it's, you know, as an adult, I don't really find it scary, but as a little kid, especially with Call of Pripyat, because I was still very young when it came out, that was kind of frightening. And there's just not a lot of games that can give you that vibe. And I think it's nifty. And like, I remember in Call of Pripyat, you could sit there and watch the storm roll in, or even Shadow of Chornobyl. You could watch clouds move. You could see the world kind of change dynamically around you. And it's just such a unique feeling. And, you know, I'm not doing a lot of playing right now. I'm literally just walking around, you know, trying to just ramble about this because it's nifty. But, like, there's not a lot of games that I can think of where I can just stop and stare at the sky and watch something actively happen and it not get boring. Because that storm is impressive to look at. And, you know, I have a decent PC. Like I said earlier, I was having some performance issues. But I really wish I could bump this up just that little bit more. I don't think it'd be a huge difference in quality, but I think it would be something at least a little noticeable. Just so you can enjoy this a little bit more. I was thinking, you know, if this is a kind of video that people are cool with, I know there's a few areas in here that you can use some of the UE tools to explore that are, like, you know, locked off normally. I know there's some parts of the map that aren't accessible yet that look pretty cool. Like, I know there's parts of the generators that you haven't been able to access in the game, and I'd love to go explore those because what I've seen so far is, like, really cool. So, you know, maybe if people like this, you know, maybe suggest some locations if you've played the game or are interested, or just, you know, want to see me wander around the game and basically do nothing but observe. But I don't know. Yeah, this I didn't really have any kind of goal with this video other than to, you know, one, put out a video so you know I'm still alive and am working on content, and two, just like, hey, you know, shoot an idea with this. Is this me wandering around being a yapper? Is this something that people are into? But yeah, if you haven't played Stalker 2, go check it out, because it's an awesome game. It needs a little work. It's definitely, it can be kind of a pain to run sometimes, but I think it's well worth it. But yeah, anyways, see you around.